All right, so with the last video, I've got seen that I've got a large audience that's wanting to see smaller bluegill jigs, natural colors, going really small with our size jig heads, some stuff like that. So what we've got in the vise right now is 1/64 ounce, number 8, just normal size J hook. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna tie up some long hackle. We're gonna make the body where most of our flash is gonna be. We're gonna give a little bit of a bucktail neck. So we're gonna start out with that jig you see right there. That jig head you see right there. And you can see we've got a pretty tiny one. Not quite even, well, just a little longer than 5/8 of an inch. We're gonna zoom in on it. Watch the time process just a little bit better than normal. We're gonna start out with our Sally Hansen's, which is gonna take very little. So with the jig like this, for the first couple, I've kind of got to plan it out. I got to make sure I've kind of downsized, downscaled everything that I'm putting on that. This is the thread we're going to be using. Very thin, very small diameter. Be careful how much tension you put on that, because you will end up breaking it if you're not careful. So thin, so small, I can barely see it. We're going to start with our wraps. We're going to go all the way to the point of the hook. We'll work our way back up. We're going to stop right there. We're going to cut our tag end off. I can see the thread better on camera than I can actually out there tying it. Okay, so our next part is we're going to tie in this long saddle hackle. We're going to wrap it in. We're going to tie it in. I'm going to cut just a little bit of it off. And we're going to tie that in. So we're going to cut off just a little bit longer than the hook. So let's go to right here. We're going to cut it off like about that long. We're going to let some of that hang out. That's going to be the tail of our jig. So all in all, I say we're cutting like 2 inches of that hackle, those long hackles off. 2.5 inches, something like that. I'm going to stack them up right beside each other and trim them off. Now I'm going to take those two and I'm going to pinch them together right there at the end. I want them to kind of spread out as I'm tying them. So we'll see how that works. We're going to lay them both right up here on the hook. One of these days I will get comfortable working this close to the camera. We'll go all the way down just inside the bend of that hook just a little bit. I'm gonna leave that tail just like that. It's gonna be a lighter color on the bottom, a little darker up on the top of it. We're gonna tie it in a little bit more. And we're gonna come right back down to the end of it. Make sure that tail's staying straight the way we want it. All right, and we're gonna stop right there. So the next step is we're gonna take this flash and I'm gonna tie it in right there at the end of our jig. I'm gonna lay it right on the shank of the hook. Strap it down. Several wraps. I'm gonna make sure it's gonna stay in there. I don't want it to come out. I'm gonna come right up here to the head of the jig. We're gonna pull our bobbin down a little bit. We're gonna lay that flash up here on the back of the jig, and we're gonna go ahead and rotate it. We're gonna make that whole body to where it's shiny. What we're actually doing is replacing that flash with the chenille. We're replacing that chenille with the flash. We're going to pull it all the way up to the head, just right behind the head. We're going to stop right there. We're going to stop over on the other side of our thread. We're going to pull it over our thread, and we're going to tie it in. We're going to go back to this side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to tie it in again. I'm going to do it probably just a couple more times right here. And that's going to be enough to hold that flash in. Shouldn't move on us again. We should be done with it. It's not going to come back out. We are going to add just a little bit of UV resin to that. Kind of like our binder. It's going to be kind of our glue. I'll clean that brush off because it's not going to take much at all. I'm just going to barely brush a little bit of it on. We'll take our UV light. We're going to set that up. Just hold your light right there just a little bit, no more than what that is. It shouldn't, you're looking at probably less than 30 seconds to get that to stay in, to set up pretty good with that UV light. The least amount you can go with your UV resin, the faster it's going to cure. So once we get that body to where it's pretty cured, not all the way, might still be a little bit tacky, it's not going to hurt nothing. It's not really going to stop what we're doing. I want to make sure. And we're going to stop right there. We're going to leave that on. So next what we're going to do is we are going to be using white bucktail. And everybody knows when you're tying with that bucktail, when you're tying regular crappie jigs, regular bluegill jigs, this hair up here is the hair you want to go with, what's up here at the top. These hairs down here are known as the guard hairs. They're hollow. When you tie these bottom hairs in, the ones that are all the way down here, and you start putting some pressure on them, they're going to stand up at like a 90-degree angle when you start wrapping them. That's what we want on this one. We're going to pull out about that much. We're going to use that on the bottom of this jig. So I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to cut that off. And we're going to be trimming some while it's on the jig head. And we're going to take that bucktail, we're going to strip out some of those hairs. Come back that way, we're going to pull out some of the smaller ones. And we're going to stop right there, and we're going to take that bucktail. Once I get a little bit closer to my fingers, we're going to take that bucktail and we're going to start tying that in. And we're going to make about a 1/4 inch long neck, this bucktail. I'm going to reach up here with my scissors and I'm going to trim some of that off. We're going to want that kind of short. I want it where it stands up a little bit, and I want it to where it's not as long as the tail. So we're going to stop right there and we're going to cut off a little bit more of that bucktail. Going back to the same spot there and getting those guard hairs that are down on the end. So when you've gotten to the end of that bucktail, that you've used everything you can use for crappie jigs, now there's a plan for your guard hairs on the end of that. And we're going to take the rest of that jig, we're going to roll it up there like that. We're going to take those guard hairs and we're going to tie them in one more time. I'm laying it at the head at a 45-degree angle. Miss some there, and I might not be able to get them all wrapped in, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to straighten them back out on that neck. And we're just going to start wrapping. My goal is to try to get all those white hairs up underneath there. We're going to wrap and wrap until we see the least amount of those white hairs and those fibers as we possibly can. We about got it. I'm cooking. There'll be a few left there, and we'll be all right with that. All right, we're gonna pull that out of the vise. We're gonna straighten out all that bucktail. reach down in there. We're gonna cut off excess that we don't want without trimming off the rest of our feathers. And we're gonna put back in that vise the way we had it to start out with. There'll be a little bit of trimming left to do on it. It's gonna be a whole lot. I'll put a whip finish on it. We're gonna take it out and turn it and make sure it's still what we want. I think it looks pretty good. So now we are going to put some UV resin on it. And again, we're going to go very, very thin. We're going to hit it with our light. And by no means is this going to cure completely sitting here like that, but it's going to stop it from dripping. We'll turn it a long way in the vise and we'll take a look at it again. I put a little too much bucktail there. I should have spread it out a little bit more and put a little bit more of it on that side. I think that jig's going to do just fine. It was kind of exactly what I want it to look like. Got a good bug look to it. Got a little bit of a longer tail that over time might end up getting picked off by bluegill, might not. It's all tied in pretty good. It's a pretty sturdy jig. But there we go. 1/64 ounce, number 8, regular J hook. Color of the paint on the head is green pumpkin. I painted a white eye on it. Went back, touched in the black pupil. The body has got the flash in it, so it's gonna be kind of shiny underneath. 2 long brown hackles. Some leftover bucktail that probably would have ended up in the garbage anyway if I didn't find something else to do with it. But there we go. That is a pretty slick little bluegill jig. I like it. Let me know what you think. Give me a like, share, comment, hit that subscribe buzzer bell so you'll know when I put another video up. And that is all I got right now, folks. Give it a shot. It's not that hard. It was pretty difficult. The most I've got tied up in that are those long hackles. Like I said, the bucktail was scrap. 64th ounce, number 8, J hook. And it was an extremely easy jig to tie. Until next time, we will see you guys.